Let's go ahead and kick this off. All right. So, hi everybody. Matt Madawi, solution architect based out of Plano, Texas. I work with the team that supports the Texas region, but happy to talk about Megaport and you know I'm happy to connect you with anybody that's local to your area as well if you're coming from somewhere else. But yeah, let's take a quick walkthrough. I just want to do a brief overview of our services. And then I was going to try and double click a little bit deeper on technically how Megaport works, just to maybe fill in some of the blanks for people. All right. So here at Megaport, we like to consider ourselves a hyperscaler of network connectivity on demand. What does that mean? Everything is paid for what you use. It's point and click delivered in 60 seconds, all on our private backbone. And what we do is we can connect you to any of the major clouds that you want to go to. So AWS, GCP, you name it. If it's worth connecting to, we'll get you there. Right now, we connect over 2,500 enterprise customers worldwide in North America, EMEA, and Asia Pacific. We have more cloud on-ramps than anybody with Azure. We're probably number two with AWS. What that means is that we can get you onboarded to the cloud networks sooner, minimizing some of your Megaport expenses, and also allows you to optimize your routing. We're data center agnostic, so that means that we are in over 100 different data center operators worldwide. So Equinix, Cologix, uh, Cyrus One, Data Bank, just to name a few. And finally, one thing we like to mention is our marketplace. So we also have a way that our customers can connect to each other privately using our private backbone. And you can also, if you're a service provider, you can offer your services to other Megaport customers. Services like UCaaS, Ring Central, Cisco WebEx, that sort of thing. Moving along, one of the best ways to explain what we are is when we talk about what we're not. So we're not going to do the last mile connectivity. So specifically, from your branch office or from a privately owned data center, we're located in the colo data center, colocation. So we're in 1,000 data centers worldwide now, which is a huge milestone for us. And we're constantly adding. So we probably have 30 or 40 other data centers already in the pipeline. So look to see that expanding even more. But effectively, once you get to that colo, we can build your connection to anywhere else. So whether it's any other cloud provider where it's another port or some of our other services, which I'm going to go into. So here's a brief topology just to kind of highlight where things fit in. So let's say you were in Dallas and you wanted to pull down a megaport in Cyrus One, totally fine, and connect to AWS in Dallas. So we have an on-ramp with AWS in Dallas. So it's a local connection from Dallas to Dallas, which minimizes the cost there and very standard use case. Let's say you were also in Atlanta and Chicago, but in different data centers like Digital Realty and Equinix. You wanted to connect those to separate to other clouds. That's completely fine. Let's say you also want to take things a step further and connect your data centers together. So we have this feature called DCI or Data Center Interconnect, which allows you to connect your ports. And this is all completely private. It's another VLAN. So a Megaport is a layer two service, and you can do up to 100 different VLANs or VXCs on the same port. So the same port that you use to connect to your clouds can also be used to connect to your other sites, and life is good. On top of that, we have some other products. So if we round out our access portfolio, We have something called the Megaport Cloud Router, MCR. So let's say you were in you had your web application in AWS and a database in Oracle, and you wanted to connect your clouds together directly without having to hairpin traffic back to your data center. That's where the Megaport Cloud Router falls into place. It's a full stack router, includes your licensing, and it's fully managed in the Megaport portal. Allows you to set up BGP peering with both of your clouds and advertise your routes. And it's all connecting privately. Uh, Another thing to note is, just like a port, you can also connect your port to your MCR as well. Finally, the third component to our access product portfolio is our MVE or Megaport Virtual Edge, which you can think of that more like a curated bare metal. So we provide the VM, uh, the networking, and the internet. You guys bring a license, and we support a full plethora of vendors. So for it could be a virtual SD-WAN router like Aruba, Cisco Catalyst. We also have support now for Meraki. It's not listed here, but it's in public beta. So if you're a Meraki customer, we can get that enabled. You can do a virtual firewall like Palo Alto, Fortinet FortiGates. We support Cisco FTD and Checkpoint. A new vendor that we're supporting is Juniper. So just like with our network where we're continuously adding more sites, we're also adding more vendors to support for our MVE product. So certainly if there's something out there that you don't see that we support, we can um, look at that and try to get that enabled for you. But that is the probably the main part of the the presentation. I was just going to kind of take a moment now to dig in what actually is a megaport. So let's pull up a whiteboard here and kind of walk you through it. So, this is a megaport, right? And we were talking if you wanted to connect to, any of the clouds, right? Let's say like that, right? What what does this actually mean and how does this actually work? So in reality, Megaport is really just a support on a switch, right? So we got switches. You guys probably have switches. So it uses single mode fiber with LR optics. They come in 110 and 100 gig flavors. So, and effectively these are physical ports on a physical switch, right? And you can't actually just digitally upgrade the speeds because it's a physical port. So you have to actually move the connection between ports if you need to change the sizes. So that's a common scenario. So this is the Megaport switch here where you're pulling in a Megaport. And the way you get to it is, hopefully if you're in a data center, so we're going to call this your colo data center. Let's get this little icon here. So you're in a colo data center, right? And Megaport has a rack, uh, and you're actually in the same data center. So you have your own rack, and you have a switch in there. You're gonna need a physical cross connect to the Megaport um, rack, and it looks something like this. So this is the physical cross connect. Um, let's see. right? And what that all that is single mode fiber patch that you would run from your rack to the Megaport rack. When you provision a Megaport, you'll get the LOA, the letter of agency, which shows the location of Megaport. So you would hand that to your data center operator to run this physical cross connect. And then that's how you get connected to the Megaport. Once we see light, that's the only physical connection that you need. Your port will turn green in our portal, and then you use that to build your connections to, it could be to a cloud, it could be to another port somewhere. So, if you had like a data center in, uh, let's say Chicago, right? So very, very easy and user friendly and straightforward. I'm going to call this guy Dallas, since that's where I'm at. Um, Another scenario that we get though is like, what if you're not in the colo data center? What if you're in a privately owned data center? How does that work? So we would, let's say, extend this out. So you would have to provision when, the earlier slide where we mentioned about the last mile, since we don't provide this, you would have to contract with a service provider like Lumen, Verizon, Frontier, whatever is local to you or whoever you're comfortable using. And we'll identify the nearest Megaport enabled data center. You have that circuit ran to the data center. There's something called the Meet Me room. And you actually terminate that circuit in the Meet Me room. And then from the Meet Me room, you'll get a cross connect over to the Megaport rack. So this is very standard. We do this all the time. But effectively, whatever size your Megaport is, whether it's the 1, 10, or 100 gig, that circuit needs to be the same size. And it's a layer two service. So as long as you can do layer two, you're fine. Uh, yeah, and let's go ahead and look into the portal now and see what that looks like. So I'm going to just show you from our portal perspective, what it looks like to actually deploy something like that. So, when you first log in, we have this dashboard. This is our demo environment. So it's got a bunch of random stuff in here. But once you start taking down services with Megaport, you would have, something that shows your actual services in a, so you can have some sort of reference. We also have on the services tab, this is the same thing, but in list format. And so, once services are turned up, they turn green. So that means that they're good to go. I'm going to go ahead and take down a port in Dallas like we were talking about. So Center Square, Dallas Web. Let's pick the top one. But you can see here we have quite a few other data centers available in Dallas. Uh, Center Square Dallas only has 1 or 10 gig. So not all of our sites are the same, but certainly, if you had like some kind of service like 100 gig service that you wanted delivered to this site and you had at least a little bit of headway, we can get that upgraded for you because there is a process to build that out. I'm going to give this a name. Service level reference is just a way that you can kind of call things out in your invoicing, not necessary in this this demo. So all of our pricing is transparent. So there's no guesswork. It's not, based on how much data you send or anything like that. There's only two components. There's going to be the port itself, and then the virtual cross connector, the VXC, where you build your connections to. So in this case, um, you can do it on a month-to-month basis or extend that out to 60 months now. So, the longer the term that you commit to, the cheaper the service gets. So if we did 1 month, that's $600 a month. Some so in some situations, like especially if you're remote, like if you don't have a relationship with the data center, we can facilitate the cross connect for you. If you're already in the data center, so like let's say Cyrus One, and you're already in Cyrus One, you already have a relationship with them, it's probably better that you just order this cross connect yourself than through us. It's going to be cheaper. We also have the ability to aggregate multiple ports together logically if you wanted to use LACP, something like that. But that's it. So we just have our 10 gig port on a month-to-month basis. When you click add port, it just shoots it over to your shopping cart here. I'm going to click review and order now. So what you're seeing is we're actually deploying this configuration. So we've pulled down a port in Center Square, Dallas. Then it gives you these options. So these are other clouds that you can connect to. We also have an IX Internet Exchange if you wanted to connect to that. We also have Megaport Internet, which is great. It's a highly available service. It's a blend of two different service carriers that you can just add onto your Megaport, and it's just another VLAN. You don't have to wait for circuits to deploy. You just turn this up, and in a second, you're going to have internet access. So, very quick, perfect for like secondary or tertiary connections, or your primary if you wanted to. So you can see after just a few seconds, this LOA populated this link. And if I click on this, this is what you would hand over. So in this case, center squared, and say, I need to run a cross connect to this location. So that's how that really works. Going back though, so we have our port on the A end in Dallas. Let's go ahead and deploy a port in Chicago. So let's see. Since we're already in Center Squared in Dallas, let's do Core Site Chicago. And Core Site is one of our super mega sites. It looks like we can do up to 400 gigs. Not all of our sites are enabled for that, but this guy is. Let's do another 10 gig port. Also, it's interesting to note the 1 and the 10 gig are the same price. For your reference, 100 gig is 2,000 on a 12-month term. 400 is 4,000 on a 12-month term. Not too shabby. I mean, 4 times the bandwidth for twice the price. So let's do this. So once again, same process. We're gonna do just month to month since this is a demo, and we do have diversity available in core site. What that means is we have separate switches, separate physical switches that you can deploy to. And what that means is, different paths into and out of the data center, different power supplies to help you, build out your resiliency and redundancy. So I'm just going to add this. So as simple as that, we have two different ports. And you can see diversity isn't available in center squared, so there's no diversity zone. In Chicago, it is, so you're seeing we're pulling a red port. So now that we have both of these provisioned, let's go ahead and build a private connection between them. So it's as easy as private VXC. I'm going to search because there's so many different things here. Uh, this is our core site. And you can see we actually have the latency to the far side there. And this is real-time information. So that also is dynamic. It's updated. So let's go here. We're just going to call this DCI for data center interconnect. And then you have a choice for your bandwidth. And this is flexible and scalable. So, you can start off at 100 megs. You can see on a month to month, that's 144. On a 12-month term, that's 120. If you wanted to do another zero, taking you to a gig, that's 250. And then if you wanted to do 10 gigs, it's 1,000. So you see the different components. We have the two ports and then the virtual cross connect in between. I'm just going to do a gig. And this is because the VXCs are layer 2 services. You have to choose your VLAN. If you leave it blank, it'll automatically assign one. You can also change them. Let's do 100 here, 100 on here. And then, you have the option to, if you click this, you will automatically renew. You can also, if you wanted to, I'm just going to go ahead and deploy this first. So now we're building this VLAN between the two sites. What I was going to mention is once you have this up, let's say you wanted to change something, on a term, if you delete this, of course, there's going to be an early termination fee. But if you wanted to increase the speed or change the term to longer, there's not going to be any kind of fees. So you would have to change your contract term. But that's it in a nutshell. Really quickly, we took a look at, just our overall services, how they fit together, how it actually works from the ground level. And then we were able to turn up an actual DCI between two sites. This won't turn green until we actually see light, but this is actually built out, and yeah, it's there. So it's literally that simple. We did that all in less than 30 minutes. And then certainly you can take this down and redeploy it. But that's it. Uh, just want to thank you guys for joining. Uh, Enjoy the rest of your Friday and have a great weekend.